I'm Debbie of Hosting Your Home, and
I'm Rob, the faithful editor.
faithful editor. Okay. Thanks, Rob. So we are obviously a husband and wife team, and we are the producers of the Hosting Your Home podcast. We have a few episodes out there, and we've been talking about introducing ourselves to you so you know a little bit about who we are and why we're doing what we're doing.
So Deb and I met just out of high school, and that was 45 years and 3 kids ago, 4 grandkids living in Iowa and Colorado and Portland. Several years ago, we got interested in the vacation rental business. Deb, you want to tell them about the Gull House?
Yes, I do, Rob. Thank you. I wanted a vacation home on the beach. I wanted an ocean view, and I wanted a place for our family to go play. And if I remember correctly, I looked and looked and looked, and the first place I found had a giant fissure underneath it, was not a good buy. And the second one, you got cold feet. Do you remember that? When I said, oh my gosh, this is just the best place. And halfway through, you said, no, we can't afford this. We can't do this. And what did your brother say? Rob's brother said, damn it, Rob, buy her that house. And he did. Yay, Dean. So we bought the Gull House in the year 2000 and started renting it, using it ourselves first as a family, and occasionally rented it to friends and family and co-workers at the VA hospital where we were both working.
And then in 2007, I retired and realized we really couldn't afford to subsidize a beach house. And so Deb started renting it out.
Rob called it work with a view. We closed down the house for a few months and did a lot of renovations and brought it up to a really nice standard. And I remember talking with the insurance lady who said, houses around this area usually rent for about 100 nights a year. And I thought to myself, nope, we're going to do better than that. And we started renting, and it went really well. And Rob took me out to dinner. Do you remember that? For every 50 nights I sold, we went out to dinner.
Right. And that year, Deb rented it out 200 nights. So we sort of canceled the sales incentive program.
I was afraid you were going to say something like Deb gained a ton of weight that year. So it was so much fun renting out the Gull House. I enjoyed it so much. I found something that I was quite good at, and I wanted to do more. So I asked Rob if he would buy me another house, and he said no. And so I started looking.
Right. In 2009, we bought another house.
If we did. We bought the Shearwater house with the Romance of the Sea next to it.
These 2 houses are in Lincoln City on the Central Oregon coast.
And then some years later, when Airbnb came to Portland, we started thinking about turning our children's bedroom into an area that we might be able to rent.
Right. And the problem was that the city of Portland at that time didn't allow short-term rentals. And it was Portland Mayor Charlie Hales who really championed that change with city council, and they came up with an allowance to rent for less than 30 days, but you have to live in your home for at least 9 months of the year, which protects the long-term rental housing.
We attended some of the city council meetings at that time, I remember, and I remember the mayor was saying Portland felt that Airbnb was a wave of the future and they wanted to be a part of it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was very visionary on the mayor's part. And in that process, he attracted Airbnb's North American operational headquarters here, and that subsequently has worked super for us because they're very generous with their time and they share information with us. And so it's been a really great working relationship.
So to backtrack just a little bit, we were renting our homes in the vacation rental market using all of the various platforms out there. And in the year 2009, I discovered Airbnb, and it was a free platform. Nothing else was free. And I thought, well, shoot, go ahead and sign up for it. So I did. And I think that first year we may have gotten 3 bookings. And I think the next year we may have gotten 6 bookings. And the year after that, I was thinking, well, this isn't working very well. I think I'm just going to cancel those listings. At that time, I received an email from Brian Chesky. It may sound like it was personal to me, but it wasn't. It was sent out to every single host who had properties with Airbnb.
And Brian Chesky is?
He's a co-owner of Airbnb. And what had happened is a lady in San Francisco had gotten her apartment trashed by some guests. And Airbnb did not pick up the ball on that. I honestly hadn't heard anything about it until I got this email. And it was such a heartfelt, apologetic, sincere email that I thought, boy, anybody who is going to be this vulnerable with their clientele is someone I want to hang with, because he's doing it right. And at that point decided I was not going to cancel any listings. I was just going to hang in there and see what happened. And looking back, boy, am I glad. I'm really glad that we did.
Yes, Airbnb has been a great listing platform for us. We get a lot of business from them, and they're just fun to work with.
And fun to travel on, too. Both of us have done a lot of traveling in the last couple of years using the Airbnb platform as a guest.
Right. We've stayed at a place that every Sunday night they invite their guests over for a barbecue. We stayed at a place where we got to go see their llamas, and their llamas are guard llamas. So if there's any kind of predator around, the llamas make certain sounds, so they don't have to have a special alarm system.
And remember our tour in Paris?
Yes, we got a tour all around Paris from our wonderful host.
And what about that awesome soup that we had in France when we went to the village fete?
Oh, yes. Okay, so once a year, this village has what they call a fete, or it's a holiday. It's a little farming village, so it's like a church auxiliary room. There's probably 100 people in there. And our hosts took us to it, and they said, okay, now there can be wine on the table, but don't drink it to begin with. It's rude. You can only drink it after you've had your soup, and then you pour the wine in the soup bowl and glug it down from the soup bowl. So
that was really fun. I enjoyed that.
And I have a great picture of Debi drinking her wine out of her bowl.
That's true. It's on Facebook. Rob, why are we doing this podcast? Why are we doing Hosting Your Home?
Well, because you wanted to. Like 2 years ago, you listened to Heather Bear. She encouraged you to start podcasting, and you wanted to do it. And it's taken us 2 years to get here.
That's right. And I'm so happy to be here. This is so much fun. Couldn't do it without you, because honestly, the back end stuff of trying to do the editing, etc., was overwhelming to me. And Rob's background is in engineering, and he just said, oh, honey, I'll help you. So we now have 4. This will be our 5th podcast out. And we are continuing on to basically to focus on Airbnb hosts and their stories. And hopefully we will get some guests input sometime soon. And we're also hoping to interview some of the local Airbnb staff.
My interest in doing the podcast, of course, is to support you, but also I love traveling with Airbnb and meeting the hosts and all their cool places they have and how different they all are. And mostly I like it as a different way to travel, completely different than hotels. And I'd love to encourage more people to use this type of travel and encourage more people to become hosts. Okay, Deb, why do you want to do the podcast?
I want to do the podcast because I love the way you support me. Actually, I really like to do this podcast for the humanitarian aspect of it. I don't think there's anybody else out there who is actually telling the host stories. And we have some amazing, wonderful, heartwarming, just delicious stories of people, personal interaction, and they're just really fun. I'm in this for the warm fuzzies. I also appreciate the fact that there are more and more hosts coming on board, more and more guests who are using the Airbnb platform, and anything that we can do to help make that a positive experience and maybe even do a little education is something that I'm also interested in doing.
I think you told me that 10 out of the last 12 or 8 out of the last 10 guests who stayed with us, this was their first time using Airbnb?
That's true. We've had a lot of first timers in the last 2 months or so.
It's a huge number that speaks to the increase in use of Airbnb as a travel mode.
So that's why we are doing what we're doing. We are very open to any feedback. Where you can tell we might be a little rough around the edges here with learning what we're doing and speaking into the microphone, but our heart's in the right place, and we would love to hear from you if you'd like to subscribe or if you'd like to check out our website at hostingyourhome.com. You can leave us a message there, and we'll also put links to our own properties on the website so that you can see what those are all about.
And I'm just reminding Deb that we said we would do this for a year and see how it goes.
That's true. That's true. We are supposed to be retired. So after about a year, we will put our heads together and decide if we want to do it for another year.
Bye, Deb.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
I'm the editor. I'm the editor. I'm the editor. I have all the power. It's true.
Butt face.